David Herbert Lawrence, or D.H. Lawrence as the world knows him, was a rather remarkable figure in English literature. He wasn't one for quiet, polite stories that tiptoed around difficult subjects. Quite the contrary, he charged headfirst into the messy, complicated and often uncomfortable realities of human relationships. His 1913 novel Sons and Lovers is perhaps the quintessential example of this. It's a deeply personal, semi-autobiographical work that peels back the layers of a working-class family in a Nottinghamshire mining town. The book delves into the very heart of family dynamics, exploring how the powerful, sometimes suffocating, bonds between parents and children can shape a person's entire existence, particularly their capacity for love and independence. It's a story that was quite shocking for its time, for its frankness about psychology and desire. The story itself follows the Morell family, but its true focus is the sensitive and artistic second son, Paul Morell. We are introduced to his parents, Gertrude and Walter Morell, whose marriage is a battlefield of mismatched expectations and personalities. Mrs. Morell, a woman of some education and refinement, feels she has married beneath her. Mr. Morell, a hard-working but often drunk and coarse coal miner, cannot comprehend his wife's intellectual and emotional needs. This constant conflict creates a tense, often miserable atmosphere in their small home. The children, caught in the crossfire, find themselves pulled in different directions, forced to choose sides in a war that has no clear winner. It is from this fertile ground of domestic unhappiness that the central drama of the novel springs forth. Sons and Lovers is, at its core, a coming-of-age story, or what the Germans so wonderfully call a Bildungsroman. We watch Paul grow from a frail, sensitive boy to a young man grappling with art, ambition, and the bewildering world of romantic relationship. However, his journey is not a straightforward one. Every step he takes towards building his own life is shadowed by the immense, almost overwhelming influence of his mother. The title itself is a clue, isn't it? It points to the complex, almost romantic devotion the sons, particularly Paul, have for their mother, a love that complicates their ability to form healthy attachments with other women. The novel isn't just about one son and one lover. It's about how the maternal bond can become a kind of love affair in itself, with all the jealousy and possessiveness that entails. What makes the book so special and why it's still studied so rigorously today is its pioneering use of psychological realism. Lawrence wasn't just describing events, he was diving deep into the subconscious minds of his characters. He explored what we now call the Oedipus complex, the idea of a son's unconscious rivalry with his father for his mother's affection, long before such Freudian concepts were commonplace in literary speech. He masterfully shows, rather than tells, how unspoken resentments and deep-seated psychological attachments can govern our choices. It's a novel that feels incredibly modern in its understanding that the battles fought within the family home are often the ones that leave the most lasting scars on the human soul. The Morell family is the beating and often breaking heart of the novel. At its head are the two deeply incompatible parents. Gertrude Morell is a proud, intelligent woman who feels trapped by her circumstances. She pours all her frustrated ambitions and her immense capacity for love into her children, especially her sons. She sees them as a means of escape, a way for her to achieve vicariously the life she feels she was denied. Her love is fierce and protective, but it is also possessive and stifling, creating an environment where her sons find it difficult to emotionally separate from her and become their own men. She is, in many ways, the architect of her children's emotional struggles. On the other side, we have Walter Morell, the coal miner. He is not portrayed as a simple villain, which is a testament to Lawrence's skill. He is a man of the earth, connected to a physical, sensual world that his wife despises. In his youth, he was vibrant and charming, but the brutalizing nature of his work, combined with his wife's constant disapproval and his own weakness for drink, has worn him down into a coarse and often aggressive figure. The children, taking their cue from their mother, grow to resent and even hate him, seeing him only as a source of noise, dirt and disruption. This parental schism is the central fracture in the family's foundation, forcing the children to align The children are the products of this divided home. The eldest son, William, is his mother's first great hope. He is handsome, clever and successful, moving to London to make his way in the world. However, he cannot escape his mother's emotional pull. His fiancée is shallow and materialistic, a pale imitation of the intellectual and emotional depth he is used to in his mother. Caught between these two worlds and weakened by his internal conflict and overwork, William falls ill and dies tragically. His death is a devastating blow, but it also clears the way for Paul to become the new sole focus of Mrs. Morell's intense, all-consuming affection and ambition. Paul Morell thus inherits William's mantle as his mother's confidant and emotional substitute for her failed marriage. Their bond is extraordinarily close. They share everything, from his artistic aspirations to his innermost thoughts. This relationship is Paul's greatest comfort and his most profound prison. Mrs. Morell encourages his talent for painting, giving him the confidence to pursue a life beyond the mind. But she simultaneously resents any woman who threatens to take her place in his heart. Paul is trapped, a son who must function as a surrogate lover to his mother, unable to fully give his heart to another without feeling a deep sense of betrayal and guilt. This is the central agonizing conflict that drives his story forward. Paul's struggle for independence is most vividly illustrated through his two significant romantic relationships, first with Miriam Levers and then with Clara Dawes. Miriam is a farmer's daughter, a girl he has known since adolescence. She is deeply spiritual, intellectual and intensely romantic. In many ways she is a younger version of Mrs. Morell, sharing a similar soulful and possessive nature. Miriam understands and nurtures Paul's artistic soul, encouraging his painting and sharing in his intellectual life. She offers him a spiritual connection, a meeting of minds that he craves. One might think she would be the perfect partner for him, a companion who truly gets him. However, this very similarity to his mother becomes the problem. Paul feels that Miriam's love is like his mother's, consuming. He resents her for wanting to possess his soul, to merge with him completely. He finds her spirituality cloying and her physical shyness frustrating. His mother actively dislikes Miriam, seeing her as a rival for Paul's affection and subtly poisoning the relationship with her disapproval. Paul is torn. He is drawn to Miriam's mind and spirit, but is repelled by what he perceives as her grasping, draining love. He is unable to commit to her fully because his soul, in a sense, already belongs to his mother, and he cannot bear to give it away again. Seeking an escape from the spiritual intensity of Miriam, Paul turns to Clara Dawes. Clara is the complete opposite. She is an older, married woman separated from her husband Baxter Dawes. She is worldly, passionate and fiercely independent. With Clara, Paul experiences a purely physical, sensual relationship that is free from the emotional and spiritual demands that Miriam made on him. Their affair is fiery and exciting, a rebellion against the suffocating piety of his life with his mother and Miriam. It represents a different kind of love, one rooted in the body rather than the soul, and for a time, it feels like liberation. But this relationship too is ultimately doomed to fail. While the physical passion is liberating, Paul finds that he cannot build a lasting connection with Clara on sensuality alone. He discovers that a relationship devoid of a deeper emotional and spiritual bond leaves him feeling empty and disconnected. He is unable to truly love Clara because he cannot give her a part of himself that is intertwined with his mother. In the end, he helps orchestrate a reconciliation between Clara and her estranged husband, effectively pushing her away. Both relationships fail because Paul is psychologically incapable of integrating the spiritual and the physical. He is a man split in two by his unresolved connection to his mother. The enduring importance of sons and lovers in the grand tapestry of English literature is undeniable. One of its greatest contributions was its unflinching psychological depth. Lawrence was writing at a time when the novel was still largely concerned with social manners and external events. He, however, turned the novelist's lens inward, exploring the hidden currents of the subconscious. He dramatized the powerful, often destructive ties of family, in a way that had never been done before with such raw honesty. By placing the complex, almost incestuous love between a mother and son at the centre of his story, he broke new ground and paved the way for the modern psychological novel. The novel is also celebrated for its brilliant depiction of class and industrialisation. Lawrence, himself the son of a miner, writes with profound authenticity about the lives of the working class in early 20th century England. He captures the grime and brutality of the coal pits, the rigid social structures, and the quiet desperation of those trapped by their economic circumstances. But he also contrasts this with a lyrical, almost spiritual appreciation for the natural world. The descriptions of the countryside around the mining town are lush and beautiful, offering moments of grace and escape from the ugliness of industrial life. This tension between the man-made and the natural world is a hallmark of his work. Furthermore, the themes that Lawrence explores are utterly timeless, which is a key reason why people still pick up this book over a century after it was written. The struggle to break free from one's parents and forge an independent identity is a universal human experience. The difficulty of finding a partner who can satisfy our complex emotional, spiritual and physical needs is a challenge that resonates with every generation. The novel asks fundamental questions. What do we owe our parents? How do our childhoods define our adult lives? Can we ever truly escape the people who made us? These are not questions with easy answers, and the novel's power lies in its refusal to provide them. In conclusion, Sons and Lovers remains a vital and compelling read because it is a profoundly human story. It's a messy, painful and deeply moving account of one young man's struggle to find his place in the world, to learn how to love and to be loved. Paul Morell's journey is a difficult one, and by the end of the novel, as he stands alone under the stars after his mother's death, his future is uncertain. Yet, in his final decision to walk